Good morning, beloved sons and daughters of the kingdom. Grace and peace be multiplied unto you today. I greet you not as ordinary people, but as royal citizens of heaven, uniquely crafted for divine purpose. You are not here by accident, and this moment is not just a pause in your day. It's a pivot for your destiny. I believe that today God is going to reframe how you begin your mornings, because what you say at the start of the day has the power to shape how you walk through it. Every morning is not just a routine. It is an invitation. Heaven knocks at your door, not with noise, but with whispers. The whisper that says, come, align with me before you align with the world. The truth is, you cannot conquer a day with your feet if your spirit hasn't stood first in His presence. Before the emails, before the demands, before the texts start flying in, there must be a moment of holy alignment. Hajada Nuba. A moment when you speak and God listens. A moment when God speaks and you hear. There are things you must say to God, not for His sake, but for yours. Not because He forgot, but because you must remember. And when you open your mouth in the morning, you're not just starting your day, you're framing it. Your words become the scaffolding your life builds on. Heaven listens not just to what you declare in church, but what you decree in secret. The morning is your sacred soil. What you plant there will grow all day. So, what should you say to God when your eyes open and your feet touch the floor? You begin with gratitude. Thank you for waking me up. That breath you just took wasn't automatic. It was authorized. When you start with thanksgiving, you disarm entitlement. You remind your soul that today is a gift, not a guarantee. Next, you must say, I acknowledge you as Lord of my day. Many want God to bless their day without first giving it back to Him. But anything that hasn't been surrendered can't be anointed. When you declare His Lordship, you're not giving Him a piece. You're giving Him the whole day. Your meetings, your mind, your movements. Say, I receive your mercy and grace today. Don't let yesterday's failures invade today's freedom. Every sunrise comes with new mercies. The enemy would love to chain you to shame, but grace cuts those chains every morning. Receive it, speak it, walk in it, and say, let your will be done in me. This is the language of surrendered sons and daughters. Not, Lord, bless what I'm about to do, but Lord, reveal what you're already doing and let me be a part of it. God doesn't need to bless your idea when He's already written your assignment. Now say, give me wisdom for every decision. The day may throw questions, dilemmas, and surprises your way, but wisdom is the divine compass that keeps you centered. Don't lean on experience. Lean on divine insight. A wise word from God can save you from 10 years of delay. Also say, protect me and those I love. You can't be everywhere, but God can. Place your children, your spouse, your siblings, your co-workers in His hands. Prayer is not just communication, it's delegation. When you ask God to protect them, you're not giving up control. You're placing them in higher hands. Then say, I surrender my plans to you. This is where pride dies and peace is born. You might have a planner, a to-do list, an agenda, but heaven has its own calendar. When you surrender your schedule, you gain God's sequence. You stop living reactive and you start living responsive. You must also say, fill me with your Spirit, because the day will ask of you more than your flesh can offer. You need a power beyond willpower. You need divine stamina, divine joy, divine discipline. The Holy Spirit is not a luxury. He's your life source. Now declare, let me be a blessing to someone today. Kingdom people, don't just pray for blessings. They become blessings. Ask God to make you an answer, a light, a moment of peace in someone else's storm. This keeps your faith from becoming self-centered and turns your focus outward. And lastly, say, I trust you with the unknown. Because every day holds mystery. You won't have all the answers, but you walk with the one who is never surprised. Trust is not passive, it's prophetic. It says, I don't know what's coming, but I know who holds it. These are not just morning phrases, they are declarations of alignment. They are seeds of surrender. When you speak them, you reset your heart, refocus your mind, and realign with heaven. And never forget, God is not a hobby. He's your source. You see, family, purpose is not discovered in a rush. It is received in reverence. One of the greatest tragedies of modern life is that people wake up and immediately reach for productivity, but never pause for purpose. But you were not born to just do. You were born to become. And becoming begins in the presence of God. When you wake up in the morning, don't ask God to endorse your schedule like some divine assistant. Instead, seek His divine blueprint. Don't say, Lord, bless what I've written down. Say, Lord, show me what you've already written. Because you don't wake up to make things up. You wake up to walk in what's already been established. Let me tell you this. Performance without purpose is busyness without fruit. And in the kingdom, fruitfulness always trumps activity. Many people are exhausted not because they're doing too little, but because they're doing too much of what God never told them to do. In the morning, your first request should not be success. It should be alignment. Say, Father, help me see today the way you see it. Don't let me waste energy chasing what looks urgent but isn't eternal. Don't let me confuse good opportunities with divine assignments. God is not looking to bless your hustle. He's looking to reveal His will. And His will is not hidden. It's simply found in His presence. So when you speak to Him in the morning, you're not just starting your day, you're stepping into your assignment. Purpose is the compass that gives meaning to your motion. Without it, you'll run fast but go nowhere. With it, even your stillness has power. That's why we seek Him first, because only the Creator knows what the creation was made to do today. So rise each morning and say, Father, I don't want to impress. I want to obey. I don't want to perform. I want to fulfill. Reveal your purpose for me today and give me the grace to walk it out. Because in the kingdom, purpose always precedes performance. Listen carefully. Atmosphere determines access. Before anything happens to you, something happens around you. And the words you speak, the voice you tune into, the presence you prioritize, it all creates the climate in which your spirit will operate. What you say first shapes how you live next. The first voice you engage each morning becomes the architect of your attitude, the governor of your emotions, and the compass of your focus. If the first sound you submit to is anxiety, stress, or social media noise, then chaos will crown your day. Confusion will command your thinking, and fear will forecast your outcomes. But if the first voice you give your ears to is the voice of the King, then peace will sit on the throne of your heart, and power will follow your every step. It's not just about what you hear. It's about what you host. Let me say it plain. Your day doesn't start when your feet hit the floor. It starts when your spirit gets direction. Some of us are losing battles at noon because we didn't set the atmosphere at dawn. We rushed into the day like we were in control, instead of posturing ourselves before the one who truly is. But sons and daughters of the kingdom don't guess their way through the day. They govern it. And governing begins with guidance. So ask yourself, who do I talk to first? What voice do I let shape me before the world can shake me? Prayer isn't a religious routine, it's a spiritual reset. It takes the chaos out of the air and establishes the rule of heaven. It shifts you from reaction mode. So when you rise, let your first conversation be upward, not outward. Don't scroll, surrender. Don't post, pray, pray. Lord, before I hear from anyone else, I want to hear from you. Speak peace to my mind. Speak clarity to my thoughts. Set the atmosphere of heaven over my home. Because whoever speaks first has influence. And when the king speaks first, the enemy can't be the loudest voice in your day. The atmosphere you set in the morning becomes the environment your faith breathes in all day long. Family, let's not miss this. Your words are not just sound, they are signals. They signal what you believe about God and what you believe about yourself in Him. Every time you open your mouth in prayer, you're not just revealing your request, you're revealing your revelation. Your words are the mirror of your theology. They tell heaven and your own soul how you perceive the one you're speaking to. And the truth is, how you approach God determines what you expect from Him. Do you come like a desperate beggar outside the gate, or like a son seated at the table? Many are praying as if they're trying to convince God to love them, as if His ears are closed and His heart is far. But that's not kingdom. That's religion. And religion always produces distance. The kingdom produces relationship. When you wake up in the morning, your words to God should not come from fear. They should come from faith. Not, God, if you have time, but, Father, thank you that I already have your attention. That's the language of a citizen, not a slave. You don't have to manipulate God with poetic prayers. He's not moved by noise, He's moved by faith. And your morning words are proof of how well you understand your covenant. If you speak like you're unworthy, you'll walk like you're unwelcome. But if you speak like a child of the King, you live like the kingdom is yours. So ask yourself, when I speak to God, am I speaking from identity or insecurity? From access or anxiety? A son doesn't have to beg to be heard. He just needs to open his mouth. A daughter doesn't have to convince her father to care. She just has to come close. So each morning, let your words sound like this. Father, I thank you that you are not distant. You are my source, my sustainer, and my shepherd. I belong to you. I'm not a stranger. I'm an heir. I approach you with boldness, not because of my goodness, but because of your grace. Because your morning words aren't just prayers. They are declarations of your identity. You don't speak to get into the kingdom. You speak because you belong to it. What you say to God reflects what you believe about Him, and what you believe about Him will shape everything you expect from your day. Let me remind you of a foundational truth. You were never meant to do life in your own strength. Independence may sound like freedom in the world, but in the kingdom it's a recipe for frustration. Even Jesus, the Son of God, the embodiment of perfection, withdrew to pray. If the sinless Savior needed to check in with heaven, how much more do we need to report to headquarters before stepping onto the battlefield? Family, you are not self-sufficient. You are God-dependent. And that's not weakness, that's wisdom. Heaven is your command center. It's where strategies are downloaded, strength is renewed, and peace is transferred. That's why your first move every morning should be to check in before you check out. Don't just wake up and run. Wake up and report. Don't step into your assignment without receiving your orders. Because when you skip the presence of God, you're operating without intelligence from the commander-in-chief. And in kingdom terms, that's spiritual recklessness. Many believers are losing battles they were never supposed to fight, simply because they didn't check in first. Listen, your calendar is not your mission. Your to-do list is not your kingdom assignment. Only the King can show you what matters today. So each morning, bow your heart and say, Father, I know I can't do this day without you. I surrender my plans for your priorities. Speak to me, strengthen me, guide me. I report for duty. Because the secret to supernatural living is daily dependence, not occasional prayer, not emergency communication, but daily, morning, intentional connection with your source. Even eagles need the wind to soar. You may be gifted, talented, and driven, but without divine direction, you're just flapping in circles. When heaven becomes your headquarters, your mission becomes clear, your steps become ordered, and your power becomes unstoppable. You weren't designed to carry the day alone, because you were never meant to live disconnected from the one who wrote your assignment. Hear me, the morning is not a throwaway. It's not just a prelude to your productivity. It's the platform of your power. The most important battles of your day are not fought in boardrooms, classrooms, or living rooms. They are fought and won before breakfast. Great destinies are decided when the world is still silent, because it's in the early hours that alignment happens. It's in the quiet that instructions are given. If you miss the morning, you may spend the rest of the day reacting to what you were supposed to rule over. And let me say this with clarity. You don't win the day by hustle. You win it by hosting heaven first. If the enemy can steal your morning, he doesn't need to sabotage your afternoon. Because once your spirit is off course, your decisions, your energy, and even your relationships will follow suit. That's why the wise don't waste mornings. They worship in them. The people God uses to shape history are the ones who understand the weight of the morning. David said, "Early will I seek you." Jesus rose before the sun to commune with the Father. Why? Because they knew what happens in the first moments determines what flows in the next hours. So when you rise, don't just reach for coffee. Reach for communion. Don't run to conquer the to-do list until you've stood in the throne room. Say, Father, this morning belongs to you. Set my heart, order my mind. I don't start without you. Because the day doesn't belong to your agenda, it belongs to your King. And when you give him the morning, he'll give you the strategy for the rest. The morning is not casual, it's consecrated. It's not just the start of your schedule, it's the start of your spiritual stance. And when you start from victory, you walk through the day with clarity, confidence, and kingdom authority. Win the morning, and the rest of the day will serve the will of God in your life. My friends, hear me today. You were not created to drift through your days. You were designed to dominate them. But dominion does not begin with action. It begins with alignment. It begins with speaking. The first words of your day are not filler. They are foundation. They set the tone. They shape the mindset. And they summon the presence of the King. And I came to tell somebody, the way you start your morning is a prophecy of how your day will end. You cannot afford to begin your day in silence, in fear, or in confusion. You are too valuable, too called, too positioned in purpose to leave your day to chance. When you open your eyes, you must open your mouth, not to talk about the problem, but to speak to the provider. Not to rehearse your schedule, but to receive your assignment. It's say something to heaven before the earth says something to you. Every morning, give God what belongs to him. The first words, the first thoughts, the first breath. Because he is not an add-on to your routine. He is the reason you woke up, the reason you're still breathing, the reason you still have purpose. The King is waiting, not for perfection, but for participation. He's waiting for sons and daughters to rise up, not just from their beds, but into their identity. To declare, I'm not a beggar. I'm not a slave. I am a citizen of the kingdom of heaven. I have access, I have authority, and I will not walk into this day without first walking through the throne room. So from this day forward, don't rise and rush. Rise and reign. Don't just start your morning. Speak it into divine order. Because your first conversation is not just communication, it's consecration. It's where battles are won, atmospheres are set, and the King's will is made clear. 10 things you say to God each morning may not take long, but they set the course of eternity in motion. So say them like your destiny depends on it, because it does.